Let us begin with placing our awareness in the area of our heart, taking slow, deep breaths, and visualize these flowing in and out of our hearts. Notice your breathing. Is it slow and gentle, or is it forced? Of course, we want it to be slow and gentle, because we want to send a signal to our body that we are appreciative of it, we're being gentle with it, we're nurturing it. If you force the breathing, the body gets a signal that you are forcing it into something it's not comfortable doing. So take some slow, deep breaths, just like you would advise a child, and you would coddle a child and be gentle with the child. Be gentle with yourself. Beautiful. Slow, deep breaths. And visualize these flowing in and out of your heart. We have one or two new participants, so I'll briefly go over this technique in a bit more detail. But the rest of you, please continue taking these deep breaths as I'm speaking for the next few minutes. Now, when you visualize breaths going in and out of your heart, you are of course breathing from your nose or your mouth. But when you visualize it going from your heart into your heart, coming out of your heart, you are placing awareness in an area that is actually the engine that drives your entire body from a physiologically and an energetically situation. Your heart sends more information to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. And this is why the power of the heart is so important, is when we focus our attention in the area of the heart, we begin to take control from the heart center. Take control perhaps is a strong word, but we entice the body to begin to perform the way it was meant to perform. We allow our heart center to lead with everything that we do, because it is a lot more powerful engine and can access a lot more wisdom than just our brain. Slow, deep breaths, and visualize these flowing in and out of your heart. And if you can count to a count of 5, breathing in for a count of 5 and breathing out for a count of 5, that's wonderful. If it's too laborious for you to do that, then just take deep breaths as deep as you can. And exhale for as long as you can so it feels comfortable for you. Wonderful. That first technique is called the heart-focused breathing technique, and it's the most basic of all techniques, but it's enough to stop your energy drain from happening, to actually stop the stress response in your body. Now let us progress on to the I didn't know that moment. And of course, you can type your comments into the chat box at any point in time you want. With any questions you have, I'm happy to read and respond. Of course, when we're doing the breathing practice, I will not interrupt that, but I will get to the questions if you're typing it during that time. So today's I didn't know that moment is around this notion of owning your greatness. Now that may sound arrogant to most people, but let me ask you this one question, and this one question alone. What if? What would you do or say if I told you, you are amazing? Feel this in your body. Is this something that you're comfortable receiving? Does this make you feel uncomfortable? And your initial response is what? When was the last time someone said to you, wow, you've done an amazing job. You have changed and transformed my life. And that person says that to you, and what is your response? Your first response, your initial sense, this is what I want to do. Does anybody have anything that they want to type in? Has this happened to them? And can you share with us how you responded? Let me share with you a story. Yes. Wow, Janet, my initial response is to feel my aura expand and feel powerful. Oh, wonderful. This happened to me about a year ago, and I have never forgotten this lesson. And it was someone that I worked with, my dearest friend Carla. And she called me up one day. We used to work in the engineering area in a local utility here in Calgary. And she came in as an engineering training. I was more of a professional engineer there, and I worked with her. I brought her up to speed, and we worked together really well. And she called me about a year after that, when we both left our jobs. She called me a year after and said, Shamir, I want to thank you. You are a great mentor to me. Because of you, I was able to learn and pick up a lot of things. And my immediate response was, oh, Carla, oh my God, you were just amazing. I mean, it wasn't me, it was all you. And she stopped me. She says, hold it. She says, you need to own that, Shamir. You cannot just push it back because you're rejecting your own magnificence. And I looked at her and I felt awkward, because if I said, yeah, I was great, it sounds arrogant, and it was very uncomfortable for me. So, Natalie, yes, your response is what my response was, a feeling between shyness and happiness. There was this great feeling that somebody else said, to me, that I'm such a great mentor, and a part of me that says, I'm not comfortable receiving this thing. And so ask yourself, notice yourself, because it's our initial reactions. We don't really pay attention to this. Like when somebody says to you, hey, thank you, a lot of people respond by, oh, it was nothing, don't worry about it. And when we do that, we're actually pushing away our own magnificence. And here's how it works in the general scheme of things when it comes to the concept of law of attraction. The law of attraction has three laws. There are three things that must happen in order for the law of attraction to take place. And the first thing is for you to ask. And the ask is there. I mean, you ask, I desire this. And we can go into how do you ask, but that's not the topic of conversation today. The second one, the universe will always respond. So that's a given. The third one is receive. If you are unable to receive what you've asked for, if you're unable to receive it, you are pushing it away, and therefore you will not manifest it. And that's really the key. So if you've asked the universe at some point, whether it's conscious or subconscious, that I want to become masterful at life, I want to serve in a way, I want to own my magnificence, and then the universe gives you a situation where you are being praised for your magnificence, it is a receiving part that you're pushing away. So I want you to think about that and explore that this week and see how you receive even the smallest of things. Do you receive it with grace and kindness, or do you reject it with grace and kindness? And that's a subtlety, but think about that. All right? I have one task for you before we move into the next 5-minute segment, and it's a survey. So I would love for you to record your responses in this survey. I would like to know more about, what of these have created the most stress in your life. And of course, you can select more than one. And this will give me a good idea of what kind of topics to pick for future conversations on this particular thread. And no one can see, no one outside of me can see who's typing in what. And so, I see that there's I will show you the results in a few minutes when we end the voting. If you want to scroll down to question number 2 as well. So we've had half of you have said that work is my biggest source of stress. There are finances and health, and we'll try and tackle those. And the second one is, if you could pick only one area in your life to improve, what would that be? And we have a vote for health. 2 people have said that. So if you want to chime in on that. Willandu, you say finances. Yeah. The first one is none of the above. That's great. Good to hear. That was a stress, I believe. Improve my ability to grow my business. I see that. Yeah. Wonderful. I'm going to end voting in about 5 seconds actually. So if you have your opportunity, just pop it in. And of course, these are all optional. Gives me an idea of what topics to pick for next time. Okay, now you may be able to see the results. I'm going to share the results with you, and you can see the responses. Okay, and you can see the responses in question 1. 71% of you completed this, and you can see that in question 1, there are a majority of you are facing work challenges, and the second one, there is a real toss-up between improving your health and to grow your business. And of course, all of these, you can't separate one from the other. One leads to the other. But thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with me on this survey. And we're going to close the survey here in a second here. So, okay. Good. We'll close that off now. Right. Now, let's go back to our next 5-minute segment before we head into the Q&A, and we will now take it up a notch. This is called the quick coherence technique, and this technique basically allows you to actually express your emotion, and the emotion is a jet fuel. So I'll walk you through it, and then throughout this I will explain to you, for those who are new on this call, I'll explain to you what this particular technique does, and it's building up from the previous technique. So place your awareness in the area of your heart. We've done that before, and we continue to do that. That's our starting point. And take slow, deep breaths, and visualize these flowing in and out of your heart or chest area, breathing in a little slower and deeper than normal. Very gentle with yourself. And those 2 steps are the heart-focused breathing that we did earlier, a few minutes ago. And now what I'd like you to do is, while you're taking these slow, deep breaths and being gentle and nurturing with your body, I want you to now experience a positive feeling, something that makes you feel love in your heart, appreciation, peace, even gratitude. Those are positive feelings that send a signal to your body that everything's okay. And what that does is it triggers a set of hormones and enzymes that help rebuild and refresh your body. And what it does is it stops the stress response. People who have been doing this for even a few minutes can raise their immune system for up to 6 hours. So we're taking these deep breathing techniques, and we're having our body begin to repair and rejuvenate and actually stop the aging process. This particular technique will create an enzyme called telomerase, and these are enzymes that allow your telomeres in your DNA and chromosomes to actually elongate. And those telomeres are the ones that dictate the health of each of your cells. And of course, each of your cell has a DNA molecule or more in it. So you've got chromosomes with a DNA molecule, and the DNA molecule is healthy. Therefore, the building blocks of your life becomes healthy. And that enzyme is produced when you are not stressed out. And when we do this technique, studies have shown that you have stopped the stress response, which means you're growing younger as we do this. So continue to take the deep breaths, and don't forget to experience positive feeling of love and appreciation, peace, calm. Because your body doesn't know or doesn't really care whether you're actually in the situation you're imagining right now to create these feelings, or you are imagining it and creating them from imagination. Wonderful. All right, it's approximately 9:15. We are done for this 15-minute portion. I invite you to stick around for the next 15 minutes or less if you have any questions about anything to do with anything that has, whether it's today's session or previous sessions or anything that you feel you want to discuss about stress or breathing techniques or engaging life with ease and grace. Katrina, thank you you missed and pressed send before you saw the second question. Feel free to send me an email if you want to respond to that. It'd be great to hear what is it that I could help, what kind of topics I want to pick for next few sessions. So that'd be wonderful. All right, so any questions at this point in time? And if there are none, by all means, we don't have to stick around for the next 15 minutes. But if there are some, I'm here. I had somebody look at my YouTube video. It was on your shadow self, and I don't know if I covered that in the previous one. I don't think I did on the Espresso Shot, but I did do it on a FaceTime blog, and I might cover it here. She asked me a question because she saw my Espresso Shot video on my YouTube channel, which feel free to subscribe and join. And there are all kinds of videos on there that talk about mastery, personal development, things like that. And she said to me that she saw her husband having lunch with an employee of his, and she felt really angry. The word she uses, not saw him having lunch with an employee, but she caught him. She used the word caught him. And so that's a loaded statement. Of course, I've asked her to seek some help locally with counseling, but I also invited her to have a chat with me and book me on my for a 15-minute consultation to really help her kind of line up, kind of like what we're doing here. But anyways, there are many individuals who are responding to things that on the outside to a neutral observer may feel like, why are you reacting that way? But to that individual, it is extremely real, extremely threatening. And we must honor their feelings first. The first step in trying to get out of a situation such as that, if you are in that situation where you're triggered, the first one is the most difficult one, is the one to acknowledge that you're feeling that. And to acknowledge that there is something that you need to do to get past. And you are even in a more advanced stage if you are to admit to yourself, this is me. This is my shadow self coming out. And it was masterful how she asked me the question, which I looked at it and said, my God, you've already solved your own problem. It's just a matter of time for unraveling this thing. Because she's asked the question, not to me, but to the universe, saying, implying several things. She's saying, okay, I am triggered. Second thing is, this is my thing. She didn't state the question as in, he caused me to do that. She said, this is my shadow. I need to resolve this, my shadow. How do I go about resolving my shadow? That question in itself, you don't need someone like Shamir to work with you. You have already sent it out to the universe, and the universe is going to answer. And all I have to teach you, my only job, if she were to be my client and I would be her coach, my only job would be to teach her to recognize signs where she can receive. And isn't that the topic for today? So, any questions that we have? Janet, just wanted to finish my answer from the above, as my next thought is to give them a hug and be grateful that I was able to say or do something to help someone. You know what? That's beautiful. That's a beautiful response, Janet, because a lot of us are struggling with, how do we respond without sounding braggish? But if somebody says to you, Janet, wow, you are amazing, and you are amazing, Janet, I know you. You are amazing, you're wonderful. And if you were to just reach out to them and say, this is just wonderful, Thank you. I'm so grateful that I could do something to serve you in that way. And you know what? That's just a gift that keeps on giving, because when we look at the quick coherence technique, the third step in that is actually creating a feeling of compassion and love. And when you create that in your body, you're actually reversing your aging process, you're healing your body physically and emotionally, and the other person is being healed as well. Thank you for that wonderful response, Janet. Sing with Sandy. Further to, you are amazing. How I now feel grateful and acknowledge feeling honored that I could bring awareness or joy. Isn't that wonderful, Sandy? Sandy, I know Sandy is a singer, and she's got such a such a magnificence about that, because I just admire people who are in the arts who can sing, because that's such an expression that you can have, and you can pour your entire heart into this. And when you feel grateful and acknowledge a feeling honored that you could bring awareness and joy, this is so amazing that it expresses itself without you using your words. So I really honor that. Thank you very much for that. Any other comments or thoughts on that? Wonderful. So your job today, this week, is to notice yourself. And are you receiving? And it's not only about receiving praise, but it's about receiving kindness from those who want to help you. We have this society where we think we can do it alone, but when you ask the universe to move you into the next level of your business, for example, that was one of the questions that was asked. If you want to kick it up a notch to one level of business, look at what's coming in front of you and stop rejecting it. And ask yourself, is this something that I'm rejecting because I don't feel I'm ready or honored to be, I don't feel I deserve to do this? Or am I rejecting this because it's just not a good idea? And it could be, it's just not a good idea. There's lots of opportunities. You can pick one. But notice your body's response when something comes to you, and ask yourself, am I rejecting this because it's not a good idea, or am I rejecting this because I'm uncomfortable receiving? Has anybody heard of, while I'm looking for this, anybody heard of Satish Kumar? I don't know if anybody has heard of Satish Kumar. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and it relates to this YouTube channel that in the way that this individual actually asked the questions. Satish Kumar was on a podcast. Now I have my podcast going at twice the speed. Because I just don't have the patience for, while I'm driving, listening to people, so I speed it up but I can hear the words. And usually when I speed it up, I can't really connect with my heart because everybody's going a mile a minute. But this particular one with Satish Kumar, when I started listening to him, I actually began tearing up and crying. And he was going twice the speed because I had it set to twice the speed. And it was what he was saying about the heart, about how you find your calling. What I'll do is, on the replay, I will send you the link to that podcast. It's free to listen. And you may not respond the way I did, but for some reason I began connecting with the message so much so that I began crying, and it affected me the entire day. Sometimes when someone says something, it just affects you and triggers you. It's not the words that are being said, but it's the energy that you feel in the moment. And I believe this person, when she saw my video, she felt that energy in the moment, which prompted her to type in a comment on this. So you may find yourself not knowing why you feel certain way or feel drawn to messages in certain way. But certainly it's the energetics around that. You can also see her comments on this video. So here it is. I'll type it in. There we go. There we go. See? Now I'm having... Okay, give me 1 second here. There we go. And here is the YouTube link, and of course it's on a playlist. You can there are other videos on there too, so you will see the playlist there. Okay. Ah, there you go. Have you seen the movie Lion? No, I have not seen the movie Lion. People told me that I should be able to. I should watch that. But you're right. Yes, Sandy. Energetics beyond the words used. Um, yes, the energetics beyond the words. I mean, Sandy, you of all people have experienced this, because when you sing, people feel you, even if they're sitting in the nosebleed section of any orchestra or any kind of a venue. They can feel your energy, and I can relate to that, because I am a stage actor, and when I am actually in that truthful state, I can feel the audience and the audience can feel me. And so it's no different than when you're communicating with each other. You can feel each other. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to communicate and sense that communication when you can actually feel more than the words. And that's why we get triggered a lot. People get triggered not for what people say, but how they feel about that person and the energy that's being exuded from that person when they're speaking. I mean, I could say to you, I really love you, and you will take it in a positive way, whereas somebody may tell you, I love you, but you will sense their energy as being insincere, and you may feel put off by that. So the energetics is very important. Wonderful. Are there any other comments or questions? It's been wonderful. Today has been a wonderful session. Thank you for kickstarting my week. I really appreciate your energy and greatness here. So we'll see you next week again. Take care.